Hello there, it's Deepa here. If you're just directly tuning into this video, I highly recommend you to watch previous videos where I had shared about my journey into breast cancer, the diagnosis, biopsy, lumpectomy, and the further tests that were done, and consideration of radiation and decision of mastectomy. Okay. So in this video, I would like to share, in addition to mastectomy, what are some options I had considered for the breast reconstruction, and what are various things that influenced my decision. Now, with mastectomy, the options are, you will just leave it plain, right? And one can use a prosthetic breast when they wear a garment, and live like that. That's one option. The another option is, I believe, something called Goldilocks, where they just make do with existing tissues and whatnot. It would still not be aesthetically symmetrical to the other breast, but that is an option again. The other options are to reconstruct, the breast. When it comes to reconstruction, there are two major options. One is implant, silicone implant. The other option is using our own body, tissue and muscles to construct the breast. Typically, these come from your abdomen area, and sometimes for people, thighs and glute tissues and muscles are used as well. But the most common one is from the abdomen. Um, it's called DEEP, DIEP, if you want to look into it. Now, when I considered this one, it was huge decision. Initially, when the word mastectomy was uttered in my presence, in the very beginning, I used to be jumpy because it felt like, for some issue that we discovered at a pretty early stage, now we are burning the whole house. That's kind of thought went in my head, and I would be like, no, why aggressive, right? And I mentally made myself ready to face radiation. But with all the tests and the biopsy and the outcome that there is widespread DCIS, in the third area, uh, then I was convinced as well, like that the right thing to do here is mastectomy, because three areas present changes in my breast and two areas have confirmed DCIS, and God knows, if we leave it, it can occur more, and it can become invasive, right? And these changes were not seen last year. And these changes, actually, the third area was not even clearly visible in mammogram or MRI. So it was super scary that something could be hiding like that. And so mastectomy seemed to be the right option. But I was leaning towards the reconstruction because it is an option on the table, and I wanted to take it. Um, so when it comes to breast reconstruction, having the right plastic surgeon is pretty key factor into this. And so I suggest talking to surgeons, consulting them, and see how your conversations go, how they're answering your questions, how many surgeries have they performed, and all those play in the picture. I try to talk to, I try to find locate people, and in the area that I lived, and see if they have any referrals for the surgeons they used and whatnot. But I couldn't, in the network that I was using, I couldn't find anybody through referrals. So we just resorted to plain old searching in the web, reading the reviews, and going through various whatever literature available to us about them, studying about them, and identify people and consult, talk to them in person. I did talk to a surgeon first, and they were pretty, strongly navigating me towards implant route, and we're saying, in this case, I was considering a skin sparring mastectomy, meaning my breast, top of the skin would remain, and only the tissues would be taken. So in this, and also nipple sparring, so my nipple and skin would be sparred, and the nipple can be sparred only if there is enough margin, like from any of those cancerous cells, not closer to the nipple area. So only then it'll be sparred. So in my case, it was my oncosurgeon said it is feasible. So this plastic surgeon was saying, hey, there's a good chance for your skin to survive if you you know heal after the mastectomy and then go through implant. And I was not convinced about it. Like I have read that you can do same day DIEP surgery, where the abdominal tissues and muscles are used to construct the breast. And for me personally, going under, the surgery was a very anxious situation. So I didn't want to do that multiple times, and wanted to get through in one surgery if possible, if that is the right course of action for me, given my factors and health and all those, things. And so I was not convinced with this particular surgeon. So we looked around and found other surgeons and consulted, and I felt pretty comfortable with this one particular plastic surgeon. They answered all my questions patiently and taken my situation and my body, uh, factors and health metrics and everything. I They said, yeah, I do qualify. I am a good candidate for the DIEP surgery, where my abdominal tissue would be used for the breast reconstruction. Um, the reason I didn't make this decision just because I'm a good candidate for DIEP. I did choose DIEP in the end. The thing that is influence, it's a personal decision, right? Like for me, implant means something foreign is being put in the body. I was not comfortable with that idea. The second is I was told that the surface may look you know different, based on the silica implant. You get to see that in the surgeon's office, actually, a sample implant. And it can get cold. Like, let's say if you're visiting a cold area, it would become cold or something. I mean, I didn't even know what to expect, and it was already feeling weird for me when I heard all that. And last but not least, I asked, what if the implant gets holes or leaks and whatnot? And the surgeon was saying, yeah, that is pretty much possible, and we don't even know how many people are running around, on a day-to-day basis with their implant leaking. Nobody knows. So those things were like no to me. And another thing is, implant is not like a permanent solution. For example, it requires periodical revisions, or if something were to happen, infection were to happen again, you have to go. It's a surgery to remove it and place a new implant or whatever. Everything is like a procedure from that point onwards. And on my age right now, I'm in 40s, but what if I let's say I live around under 20 years, and in my 60s again, I don't want to go through another surgery to replace the implant or whatever. But that's what is expected. Implant is not like a permanent solution. You have to do revisions. And so I was not sure whether that's a great idea. My health is good now, I can go through these procedures now, but I don't want to do something which requires me to go through a surgery in my later years, where my health may not be as good, right? So those are the reasons I was not I was not selecting the implant for me. I was more leaning into the DIEP. Now, the DIEP surgery has its own challenges. Now, the downtime compared to implant is high. Even the surgery duration, like implant, is like 3 to 4 hours at a stretch, but it is done in multiple stages. They fill the implant in multiple stages and whatnot. So it's a longer process, but at any point of time, the duration is smaller, and it's outpatient most of the time. But with DIEP, the surgery itself takes anywhere from 8 to 10 hours. So one is under anesthesia for the longer hours. So there are some, uh, you know, risks that come with it. And the downtime post surgery is also long, like 8 to 10 weeks minimum. So if somebody is working, they can't get out work for such a long time, or if you don't have any support for the recovery or even going through the surgery, those can be challenging for DIEP, considering DIEP. But it is just the initial challenge of going through the surgery and recovery. And there is one revision surgery in DIEP, but after months of healing and whatnot. Um, and that's it. Once we are, let's say everything goes smooth and the final revision is done, and you're set for life. These, because we use our own body tissue, the breast ages well. Like as I age, the reconstructed breast will also age well along with it. And there are no more surgeries needed in my older years if I am were to be alive. That was the most attracting point for me personally. Again, it's a very personal decision. And but having taken that in mind, I did consult multiple surgeons for second opinion and talk to specialists to ensure that I have considered all the right things to make this call. um, I actually, one of the things that helped me profoundly was I tried to reach out to people. Started sharing widely, like when I talk to people about my diagnosis, and that kind of helped me understand. Oh, my friend of the friend also did this, and they had a reconstruction, whatnot, and in one such case, one of the friend connected me with their friend who had a reconstruction surgery 20 years ago. And that time, from since the, 20 years now, like technology has improved a lot. There are so many things that, in fact, DIEP was not there at the time. There's something else, what tram, much complicated one was there. So that gave me a lot of confidence that I can go through this. So in terms of DIEP surgery, what is involved is when they do the abdominal, so multiple surgeries. It's like more than one surgery, right? It's mastectomy on the breast. That's one surgery. It's also surgically removing your abdominal tissue, like which leaves a long scar actually, end to end of your stomach, and the tissues are transferred over and to create the new, yeah, the breast. And then not only the tissues are moved, they also move a vein or a connection for the blood, because these tissues need to get blood. So they remove a blood, the vein from here and connect it through a coronary artery, which is uh, the complicated part. So there are multiple complicated parts here. It's not a very simple surgery. It that touches our coronary artery, touches your abdominal walls. They are changed forever in some sense, and your breast. Um, so it is pretty risky if you think about it from that perspective. And everything needs to go well. Any complication could be complication that needs to be addressed and not taken lightly. Um, and the survival of the, so they call it flap, the tissues that they move, we call it flap. The survival of the flap is also like not guaranteed. I mean, in a lot of people have complications, right? And initially, after the DIEP surgery is performed, it is monitored very closely. Like they leave probes inside the breast and chest wall, so that the it can be listened, that the blood flow is going to the flap, and the your arteries properly functioning and all those. So they leave probe inside, and it's being listened to every 1 hour in ICU. For me, I happened to stay in ICU for 2 days, and 2 days post in the regular ward. And there, when you move to regular ward, they check it every 4 hours, something like that. But the first 2 days are pretty critical. So the first 72 hours are pretty critical. If your flap survives, then there's a good chance it can survive after that. But if there is any failure, then you have to go under knife again to remove or rectify the situation. And similarly, though my nipples were sparred, like the my oncosurgeon said, I have to really wait for the pathology results post my mastectomy. And if the margins are not closed or anything was found underneath. So they do cut a portion of the nipple bottom and send for pathology. And if anything were to be found, I have to go back into the surgery room and remove the nipple. So there's a lot of ifs and buts and things are uncertain. So you go into this long surgery, risky one, and nothing is guaranteed, and you don't even know like what to expect in the first 72 hours. So those are the things that are sort of cons, if you will, to consider this option, like because we are willingly now taking all those risks. um, so another option that was presented to me was, okay, the abdominal tissue can be only removed once. Like they remove everything, and then whatever you used for the one single breast is used and left is discarded. Now, if I were to have another mastectomy for another breast in the future, I don't have this option. But I hope I don't need that. I don't get into that situation. But those are the things I had to consider. I didn't want to do a preventive, proactive, like a double mastectomy. I wanted to, you know, have my natural one other breast until it becomes a problem or I have to deal with it. But I didn't choose. I chose a single mastectomy route with DIEP surgery. Um, I hope I made it clear what are the things that I considered making. I mean, even when you decide this is a course, it is a bit scary. For example, when they remove the abdominal tissue, they remove all your the belly skin and everything from our current belly button underneath it. So they pull the skin before, like from the above, and stretch it. And so now I need a new window for my existing belly button. The old window is gone. Like that's how much you lose, and they pull and stitch it. So it will be uncomfortable, right? They stitch, and so you sort of get a new, your coronary artery is touched. You get a new belly button. You get a new breast. I felt like I was reborn in some sort post the surgery. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect when they stitch your tummy like so tight. How that feeling is going to be, how uncomfortable it's going to be. I tried to read a lot and to familiarize myself. I joined some groups where women are going through the surgery and sharing their experience. Um, and to even to equip myself things that I need to buy for recovery for in my hospital and whatnot. So every time you learn these information, it makes you super anxious. It makes you wonder, did I make the right call and whatnot? But yeah, but I went through it. I wouldn't lie. Going like the 1 week before surgery, I was like a mad woman preparing. It was almost like you preparing for the baby to come home, like nesting. Like you set up all the things that you need, and you prepare food, and um, take care of everything that you need to, because now being an able independent woman, I'm going to be dependent, bedridden, and waiting on others to help me. That was super scary. And all these unknowns and risks involved, and anything could go wrong is much more, makes you anxious. The day before the surgery, I was in a very bad state. Actually, I was super anxious. I started having thoughts that I may not even come back. So that's how scary it was. I'm not gonna lie, but I will tell you one thing, that once I went there and got the anesthesia and went into the surgery, I all I know is I was done. I woke up in the recovery room, and this one DIEP surgery was done under general anesthesia. What that means is I'm not breathing for my body. So they intubate, they put a tube under in your mouth for me to breathe, my body to breathe. And given there are, my surgery took almost 8 hours. So for the prolonged time, because I'm under anesthesia, your body goes into various organs. Your colon gets into a state of lazy colon, like you don't get the natural feeling of going pee or poo, anything, like it becomes, everything wakes up so slow, the signals are so slow, it takes time, days to get there. So that was an ordeal in itself. I would share more in my next video as to what exactly the experience of DIEP surgery was, and what are the things that I bought to help myself, and what was the post recovery looks like. As I shared, I'm just in 2 weeks now, not completely across the 6 or 8 weeks, but I can share until now how it has been going in my next video. Thank you.